all us plant lovers know that plants have superpowers. There's quite an array of superpowers, not the least of which is photosynthesis. But I think some of the most amazing superpowers have to do with their ability to reproduce and asexually reproduce if they need to. We can use this ability, this superpower, to make more plants for us to enjoy. So some of the easiest ways to asexually propagate or vegetatively propagate are by cuttings. So cuttings, stem cuttings, and leaf cuttings. And all of these plants behind me here were at one time propagated by stem cuttings. So you can see that's pretty easy. They are the ones that are the easiest to do are the ones that either are succulents or succulent-like plants like the pelargonium, common geranium, because they have water stored in their leaves and their stems, and so it makes them a little bit more able to produce roots without us having to add any additional humidity. So I'm going to show you some of these individual plants. This is a graptopetalum, or ghost plant, and I'm going to take a cutting right below one of the nodes. And I'm going to want to let that harden off. I have one that I did last week that's hardened off, and you can see it's dry compared to the one I just took, which is fresh. Yeah, so you want to let them harden off and form a callus. So how does a plant know the roots are going to form from these nodes? And you can even see on this plant, it actually has some roots forming. So how does it know how to do that? Superpower. So in response to a wound or any kind of trauma, these nodes where leaves would come out are programmed to produce roots by hormones that the plant produces. Leaf cuttings, such as with this Sansevieria, you can see that this was propagated from a leaf cutting because the original cutting is, died away. But this is kind of even more amazing because the roots are formed out of a part of the leaf. So we're going to take a cutting from this Sansevieria and kind of do it at an angle. That increases the surface area for the roots to be produced. So we're just going to want to get our cutter out, which we've disinfected, okay? And we're going to cut these sections at an angle. And the angle, like I said, is to increase surface area for the roots to grow on, but it's also to sort of let us know where the top and bottom is, because we want the basal cells, which are at the bottom of these cuttings, to produce roots. And the plant will die off eventually, the original plant, the cutting, and it will produce roots and a new plant, which is totally amazing to me. And if that's not a superpower, I don't know what is. For the Sansevieria, you see that we put that in a 6-inch pot, and again in moist, well-draining soil with the bottom part of the leaf down. They do have superpowers, but they will not regenerate a leaf from the top part because they know. So the leaves from this crassula, a type of succulent or jade plant as we call it, will even, if a leaf is torn off or falls off, will actually even form roots from the base of the leaf. And eventually, these little plantlets will form. Things to make your cutting a success. Sharp pruners, sharp cutters. These are disinfected with a 9-to-1 bleach solution before we cut into the plant so that we don't transfer any bacteria or any fungal pathogens to our plant or to our cutting. We also want to put these cuttings into a sterile medium such as cactus mix. It's pretty well draining, that's and commercially available. And we also want to disinfect our pots. So we don't want to just use some fungal pot that you have outside that may have some fungus or some other bacteria in there. Just to let you know, with your cuttings, fungus is the kryptonite to the Superman that is your plant. So you want to make sure that fungus is avoided at all costs. So when you get your cuttings and you put them in your medium, well draining, it's moist, the soil's moist, you want to put them inside at bright indirect light, not in direct sun, and probably at about 70 degrees. It's winter now or late fall. You don't want to put them outside. You probably could if it's still warm, but inside I think really works well. And just monitor the moisture. You don't want them waterlogged because again that will predispose them to fungal infection. So they should be sprouting roots in about 4 to 6 weeks, and I think you'll be happy. You're gonna have more plants.